I know who I am. I love who I am. I daily improve and grow. I am self-motivated and always inspired to excel. I have a clear vision. I have hope and faith. I believe in myself and my dreams. I am purpose-driven. My gifts and abilities are activated. I operate with full efficiency. I sweatlessly triumph in all things. I create the future of my dreams. I am daily transformed and translated. I operate supernaturally. I activate my divinity. I am practical and real. I have the ability to attain, consolidate, and aspire to new levels of success, wealth, and well-being. I positively critique and review my position and situation for improvement. I advance and grow daily. I am empowered to be all that I was created to be. Welcome to the Transformation Show. In this episode, you're going to be watching Coach Wole work with Ekuase in the topic area, spirituality and security. And we take that point and that element out of the life assessment wheel. Now, why is spirituality and security very important to you? We're all spiritual beings because we were all created as spirit. You have a spirit. You live in a body. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. You will find this very relevant to your life because without faith, without belief, it is impossible to live and exist. Without hope and without love, it is absolutely impossible for you to find happiness and joy in your life. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Transformation Show, guys. How are you today, Wole?
Very well, TC. I'm very good.
Awesome. And so, Wole, what are you coaching on?
Spirituality.
Okay.
And, I'm actually looking forward to it because, you hardly find people who want to be coached in spirituality. People try to keep themselves in a box. So seeing someone coming for spirituality coaching and seeing myself being the one to do that, I'm so excited.
All right. So let's talk about spirituality coaching, right? How are you going to approach it? What kind of tools do you expect that you're going to be deploying? What kind of challenges do you think that you're going to be facing with your clients?
Well, one thing, I don't really have any tools in mind because I've just decided to be flexible. Because, most people who come for spirituality coaching come in a box. So the main thing I need to do is to remove that box. And so if I decide to use a tool, I might find out that I'm recreating what I'm trying to stop.
Awesome.
So I'll just go in a flexible way so that the coachee can relax and just be vulnerable and we'll take it on from there.
So when you're talking about box, it's about being open-minded.
Being open-minded and not being religious. Because the main problem of spirituality is religion. And a lot of people don't really understand what religion is. When you talk about religion, I'm a Christian, I'm Muslim, but that's not what religion is. Religion actually doesn't lead to God. It further takes people away from him because it makes him so impersonal. So you can't find him because, religion was created by man. But if you are going to attain true spirituality, it must be outside of religion. Religion should lead us to him, but it actually takes us away from him.
Wow. I can't wait to, to see what's going to happen in your session. It sounds really deep.
Yes.
It sounds...
Coach the little.
It sounds very spiritual and very, spooky. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it.
Yes, I can't wait to get going too.
Awesome.
My name is Ekuase, also known as Exceptional Ekuase. I am a civil engineer, an ex-banker, and now a child transformational coach, a change agent. I help parents and caregivers equip their preteens and teenagers with life skills to enable them live exceptional lives. I am married and blessed with 3 graduates. I chose spirituality because I feel that once I get that spiritual bit right, every other thing falls in place. When I hear people say, oh, God told me, God said, I felt that was lacking in me. So I desired to learn how to hear from God.
All right, nice to have you in the coaching room today.
Pleased and excited to be here.
All right. So, there are just 3 things I want from you. Number 1, I want you to trust the process. Number 2, I want you to be as vulnerable as possible.
Okay.
And then number 3, I want you to trust me. Although I know if you didn't trust me, you won't be here today.
Right.
All right. So why do you want coaching?
Wow. I want coaching because I desire to learn how to hear from God directly. And I do not want it to seem like I'm the one talking to myself and assuming that's God talking to me.
All right.
I want to be clear that I can hear from God. I hear people say, and God told me, and I heard God say, how did that happen? Of course, now I hear by reading the Bible. I know God is His word. I'm a Christian. I know He speaks to me from the Bible, but I still want to hear that still little voice. I desire to know how to do that. That's why.
All right. Now, have you ever heard from God?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because I'm not able to know if it's me, my mind speaking to me, or if that is God. So I don't know.
Okay, how long have you been a believer?
For about 30 years. That's right.
30 years. And in 30 years, you are not sure whether it's your voice or the voice of God.
That's right.
All right, fine. Now, do you have people around you who share experiences with you that they've heard from God?
Right. My son, my younger son.
All right.
He says, Mommy, God told me. And I go, how did that happen?
Wow.
Sometimes, there was a day I can remember clearly. He told me, Mommy, something tapped me and told me to come and speak with you and Daddy.
Wow.
Clear.
Wow.
So I don't know how that happens.
So every time he shares his experiences with you, how do you feel?
I feel happy that he can hear from God.
Wow.
But one of the ways I feel God speaks to me, which is different from me desiring to hear from God, is I could just open the Bible if I want to speak, to pray or hear from Him. I say, Lord, please speak to me. Then I will open the Bible randomly and I'll look, maybe just turn the next page, and what I need at that time just sticks. So, but I still feel there's something lacking.
You want something deeper.
I want something deeper.
A deeper experience.
That's right.
Okay. Now, if I hear you well, apart from that still small voice, which other ways do you think God uses to communicate to people?
Like I said, through His word.
Okay.
Through people.
All right.
Through nature.
All right. And what else?
These are enough. These are just what I know.
Okay, these are enough, and these are just what you know. All right. But what you really want is that still small voice.
and be clear that it's indeed God speaking.
All right. All right. Now, how often do you think God speaks to people?
I think God is always speaking as often as possible. But if they are listening or hearing, I don't know. I think that God always speaks.
All right. All right. So, you said that you've been a believer for 30 years.
That's
and
right.
most times it's through the Bible that God speaks to you. Now, in the past, we are going to ask questions to get to where we want to go. Now, in the past, how have you made major decisions in your life?
I pray.
All right.
And I just trust that I'm taking the right decision. And if it's not the right decision and I make a mistake, I've come to realize that perhaps that happened for a reason.
All right.
Yes, so I pray and just trust Him.
All right.
I take the chance, yes.
All right.
I could decide to discuss it with my husband or with the children. But what I've noticed in recent times, for almost like 1-2 years, I could be reading the Bible, maybe a verse. Before the end of the day, that verse will come up somewhere, or someone, I could put on the television, someone will refer to that particular verse. Sometimes it might just be, I might be reading something or think about something and a word pops out before the end of the day, or in less than within 24 hours, someone will refer to that. It's been happening so often now, I don't know. It could happen like 4 times a week.
Wow.
And I don't even understand what that means.
Wow.
So I feel, okay, maybe it's emphasis, maybe, but it's not like it's what I'm thinking of or I asked the question. So it's happening so often now, I don't understand.
Now, how old is your son?
My son is 23 years.
He's 23 years old.
Yes.
Now, let's assume that there are 50 people inside this room.
Right.
And every one of them is talking one by one.
Right.
But your son can't see who is talking. And he doesn't know when you are going to talk. When you talk, will he recognize your voice?
He will.
What makes you so sure he will?
Because he knows me. He knows me and he's been living with me all his life. He's used to that voice.
All right, he's used to that voice.
That's right.
He's been living with you all his life.
Yes.
Now, do you also realize that you are God's child?
I know I'm his child.
You know you are his child. All right. I know you know, but I'm just trying to emphasize it.
I realize I'm his child.
That you are his child. So, by being his child, what do you think you are entitled to?
I'm entitled to everything he has. I'm entitled to free access to him. I'm entitled to know him for who he is, what he is, everything. I'm entitled to hear his voice.
All right, that's fine. Now, how would it be if every time your son wanted to hear from you, you would always have to rely on a third party? Would it look nice?
That would not make me feel good.
It wouldn't make you feel good.
Or happy.
All right. So, from what you've told me now, every time something drops into your spirit, you get a confirmation from outside. Now, do you think that means of hearing from God is the ideal?
I don't know. Why I say I don't know is because it's happening too often. I don't know.
All right. Now, have you ever heard somewhere in the Bible that says, "Be still and know that I am God"? Have you heard it before?
Yes.
Yes, you've had it before. Now, when I was growing up too, I had issues with the voice of God. So at a point in time, I felt I could never hear God. But as I began to grow, just like I told you, I found out that I'm a child of God. It's my right to hear God. And even apart from that, God desires me to hear him more than I want to. You understand?
The right.
So I went through this route. Now, in all your trying to hear God, have you ever obeyed that first voice that you heard after asking God for a decision? Has that first voice ever been your option?
Truthfully, something will just come to my mind and I'll run with that.
And every time you're wrong with that, what happens?
Sometimes it's good, the right decision. Sometimes it's not the right decision.
All right. Now, in the scale of success and failure, in terms to those decisions,
Yes.
which one has been more?
Let me think. Maybe 60, 40. 60 being right, then maybe 40 being not right.
All right. 60. So which means that there's a history, there's a pattern, right? There's a history, there's a pattern. Now, in all those situations...
Sorry, can I just state something?
Sure.
Sometimes, I don't know if it's because of my training, but sometimes if there's a decision to be made, if there's a challenge, I will think, what are the possible solutions? Lord, please help me. I can come up with maybe like 2, then choose. Running with my husband, then choose.
All right.
But I like to think, just think about it. And okay, if I take this step, what could be the disadvantage? What could be the advantage? I don't know if I'm communicating.
No, you are communicating very
Yes.
well.
So I feel it's more of me desiring and using my mind and my head and my brain.
Exactly, that's what it is. And most times when you do that, you are going to stifle the voice of God.
True.
You understand? You are going to stifle the voice of God. You won't be able... and I must also say, hearing God doesn't stop us from thinking.
Okay.
We still need to think. However, it's very paramount that that thinking comes after he has told us what to do.
What to do.
You understand? So,
Okay.
now, have you seen, have you heard of this before? When I speak to my people, I speak peace to them. That's what God said. That there's that element of peace that comes. But like we said earlier, you can also actually be going into error and there'll still be that peace.
That's what you said.
So I want to take you back to that alpha.
Okay.
That omega.
Yes.
That alpha, that first. That beginning. So when you relate that to hearing God,
yes,
out of all the voices, which one do you think will be the voice of God?
That will be the first.
Yes, that will be the first. That will be the first voice. Now, when you are trying to tune into a radio station,
yes,
how many channels do you think it's possible for you to tune into?
Many.
But,
depending on the one you actually pick.
Okay, now you know how that radio dial is.
Right.
At times, if you don't tune, so maybe there's a channel on 93.2, 93.25, 93.3.
Yes.
You need
in between
to do it with precision.
Yes.
You need to be still. Now, does that give you an idea of the way God speaks? Do you know you've been hearing God?
Tell me about it.
You told me yourself, you've been hearing God, although you just didn't know it was him. You've been hearing him. Now, how did you get saved?
I heard a sermon. I gave my life to Christ. Went out for altar call.
Should I tell you something?
Tell me.
That was the first day you had God. And since then, in those 30 years, you've been hearing him. As a matter of fact, I jokingly tell people that God is a talkative. I jokingly tell people just to place emphasis on how often he talks to us. It's his greatest desire for you to hear him. He wants it more than you want it. Because you see, just like every good father wants his child's success. Every good father doesn't. It's okay if your father is dead and you become an orphan, but it's not okay to live like an orphan while the father is yet alive. So the father doesn't only want you to hear him, he knows you've been hearing him.
Tell me, why do you say so?
But you just didn't know it was God you've been hearing. You told me now that all the decisions you've made, 60% were right, 40% were wrong. Now, do you believe in patterns?
I don't believe in patterns.
Okay, let me explain. Do you believe that if something happens one way, the probability that it will happen the same way the next time is very high? Like 1 + 1 will give us what?
2.
2 + 2.
4.
Like that is always consistent. So do you believe that? Do you know that those decisions you got right, there was a pattern to how you had that voice?
I didn't realize that.
Now, can you remember how that voice came?
Can't remember.
You can't remember.
Again, still knowing whether it's my mind,
Okay.
or knowing whether it's God telling me.
Okay, you are not making me able to take notes. Okay, now let me ask you something. What is God telling you about me right now? Ask him. What is he telling you about me right now?
Oh Lord, what are you telling me about Coach Wole now? He's my son.
Even the devil knows that. Okay. Ask him to tell you something specific about me. He's going to tell you.
Okay. Oh Lord God Almighty, please, could you tell me something specific about Coach Wole?
He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you. Just listen. He's going to tell you something. I'll wait for you. So what's he telling you? What's the first thing that came to your mind as soon as you prayed that prayer?
Nothing.
All right, nothing. Now, when you ask him again, forget about all of us, forget about me, forget about what is happening, forget about what has been. Just say, and is your father. Now, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Do you have a title that describes what you do? Your job? You know, you've been calling me Coach Wole now. Do you also have a title?
Exceptional Ekuase.
All right. Now, how would it be if your son called you Coach?
if my son called me coach, it's being formal. No.
Formal.
Yes.
So what does your son call you?
Mommy,
So what do you think you should call God?
Daddy.
Exactly.
So maybe because I did not call him Daddy, he did not talk
So-
to me.
Ask him the right way now.
Daddy God, please, can you tell me something about your son, Wole?
All right. What did he tell you?
I'm trying to listen.
All right. Let me give you like 60 seconds to listen. He will talk. Just anything that comes to your mind. It could be just one word. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It could be a word. It could just show you a flash of a picture. But he always talks.
Light.
Lights. All right. Now, should I tell you something?
Tell me.
One of the things that God calls me is actually an agent of lights. And what does that mean? I'm actually a life transformation coach. And that's what I also do in pastoring. I show people the light in God's word. I give them light in dark areas so that I help people to change their beliefs by giving them light. So, did you hear God now?
Yes. Yes.
You did.
Oh, so for a moment, I wanted to tell you that perhaps it's me bringing that. But of all words on earth for me to bring,
Lights.
why light?
Lights. And for you to also know that you had God, He started re-emphasizing that to me over the weekend.
For real?
Yes, he started re-emphasizing that to me over the weekend and yesterday, and he instructed me to listen to some messages, which I'll show you in my phone after the sessions, which have to do with exactly what you said. So do you now know that you've been hearing, not that you can't hear God, but you now agree with me that you've been hearing God?
I can now say for a fact I've been hearing God speak, but I've been confusing myself.
You've been confused. Now, if you...
I'm the one doing the confusion with myself and my mind.
Exactly.
Wow.
But it's been there all the while. When you want to learn if you want to learn from me,
Yes.
what's the first thing you do?
I'll ask.
You ask questions.
Yes.
When you ask questions, what will you get?
You get answers.
If you are not getting answers, why do you think you aren't getting answers?
Because maybe you stopped asking.
You stopped asking.
Yes.
But if you ask,
you will hear.
You will hear.
Yes.
So, all the times you've tried to hear the voice of God, how did you try to hear?
Lord, speak to me. Maybe I've been trying too hard, or, Lord, more so when I just now hear, oh, God told me, and I just feel, oh, no. I've been hard on myself.
All right. But now that you said that, did you hear him?
Yes.
All right, you heard him.
I heard him now.
All right. So which means that, what happens in many cases is that some of us look for the elaborates. Some of us look for another, my daughter.
Yes.
But you see, is in the simple things. God is in the simple things. And you must see him as father, as your daddy. Have you ever seen him as your daddy?
I call him daddy.
Okay, but apart from calling him daddy, do you actually see him as daddy?
Let me tell you what I see him as. The uncreated creator who creatively created creation.
Do you know what that is?
Daddy.
That still doesn't show him as daddy. Now, when your son was 5 years old,
Yes.
did he ever run into your arms?
Yes.
Did he ever sit on your laps?
Yes. All of them.
Have you seen yourself with God that way?
No.
So, do you want to start seeing yourself that way?
I want to start. Well, I think it's making sense now. I just see God as God. You know, I call him my father, but I've not really internalized that. That is, I'm really, really his daughter. Just like a biological. But now that you are saying it, it's making sense.
Now, let me ask you something. How many titles, how many names does God have?
So many, so many.
But out of all those names, which one do you think is the most important for you?
Daddy.
Daddy.
Daddy. Most of my biological daddies no more are available.
Exactly, because everything flows out of that daddy.
Honestly.
So, because you see him as daddy, is the other things to you. Every other thing rests on him being daddy. So, are you going to start relating with him as a daughter from today?
Yes.
You are going to start relating with him as a daughter.
Right.
And then, next time you want to hear his voice, how are you going to address him?
Daddy.
All right.
Your daughter's come, you know, oh, Daddy, I really need to act.
All right.
As his daughter indeed.
All right. Now, how often do you try to talk to daddy every day?
As often as I can remember. It can be while I'm about to work. I'll just, Lord, I worship you. I thank you. You know, I just do that a lot.
Now, going forward, instead of Lord, I worship you,
Daddy,
what are you going to be saying?
Daddy, I love you. Daddy, I thank you. Daddy, I worship you.
And
Daddy, 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 Daddy.
Now, I want you to ask him something again. Ask daddy a question again and wait for his answer. Ask him something again. Now, is there a question that you want answers to from him, daddy? Are there questions that you've been looking for answers for from him?
No more so questions, but desires.
Desires. So have you spoken to him about them?
Yes.
Did you get answers?
Maybe, I don't know.
All right.
But now that you've told me, maybe I've actually gotten the answer. I'm not even aware.
All right. So do you want to ask him again now? Talk to him again now? So do you want to ask him while you are here? All right. Go ahead and ask him.
Daddy? Please, what I'm expecting, when will it come? Seven days.
7 days. So you had him. So are you now certain that you can hear God?
I'm not certain that I can
hear God. Do you now agree with me that you've been hearing him all along?
True.
Now, have you ever heard of this practice makes perfect.
Yes.
So what are you going to start doing from today onwards?
First of all, I'll be calling him more daddy.
All right. And then
Then I will be still and believe and know, trust that he's going to speak and I will hear, and I know I will hear.
all right.
And I'll be doing it often.
All right. Good.
Yes.
Now, how do you handle mistakes?
Mistakes now, before, I'll be so sad for Africa. But now, I learn from them. That's just one way not to do. So, ask for the better way. I learn and I just keep on.
Beautiful. Did you know why I asked you that question?
No.
Because we are all human. We are still human beings. So there's still the tendency to make a mistake hearing him. But don't let that be the reason why you won't listen to him again.
Okay.
We are all a work in progress.
Okay.
Till we get there. So if you make mistakes, it doesn't matter. You see, the person that makes mistakes is still better than the person that does not, because he's not trying to learn. He's not trying to do anything.
And for fear of making the mistakes.
Yes.
Not doing anything.
So he just sits in his comfort zone. So every situation, listen to his voice.
Okay.
So, Daddy, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Ask him questions. You will see that he will talk to you.
Okay.
He will always talk to you. Now, let me ask you a question. How many people are on this earth?
Over 7 billion.
Over 7 billion people.
Yes.
Now, did you know that if those 7 billion people were not on this earth and you were the only one, do you think Jesus would still have come to die for you?
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, if he regards you so much, with so much love, how important do you think you are to him?
Too important. Super duper important.
Super duper important. Now, when somebody is important to you, what do you do to that person?
You love him, you just give, you just want to hang out with the person, you just want the person happy, everything.
Beautiful. Now, based on your answer, who do you think wants to hang out with you the most?
Jesus Christ.
So that means you've been hearing him all the while, or you just didn't know it was him. When my son was growing up, we watched him. The times he tried to walk, he fell down, made mistakes. We were anxious. We actually wanted him to walk more than he wanted to walk, and eventually one day he started walking. Do you know that's the same way the Father sees you too?
I didn't realize that.
Should I tell you something?
Tell me.
This coaching session,
Yes.
the Father has been waiting for it. He's been waiting for that day that you will look for a way to start recognizing his voice.
Wow.
Now, do you know that this coaching session is not really about you hearing his voice? Do you know that it's more about recognizing his voice?
It's more about recognizing, knowing that it's really him.
Yes.
I'm not confusing myself, like I said earlier.
Yes. Now, there's growth in recognizing his voice.
Okay.
So, the first level now, because after the session, I'm going to give you assignments.
Okay.
Which you are going to give me a feedback on.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, in that assignment, in those assignments, I want you to tell God, I want you to tell the Father to speak to you concerning you.
Okay.
When you become accustomed to recognizing his voice for you, I want you to now take it further and tell him to speak to you about other people. Because people are going through issues. They can't hear God. But God can give you solutions for them. And then you tell them. And then they tell you that, how did you know? That's what I've been going through.
In fact.
So number one, Father, speak to me concerning my life. Then number two, I want you to grow to that level where you tell God to start speaking to you about the issues in other people's lives. And you know, He's not going to reveal their secrets to you so that you can make fun of them, but so that you can help them.
Yes.
Then when you master that, when you grow in that, I want you to now go to the third level.
Okay.
Where you tell God to tell you, where you ask God to tell you about things happening in His church, in the body of Christ, His plans for the church.
Okay.
So you find out that when you grow to that level, God will start telling you His plans for the church.
Okay.
And then you move to the fourth level, where you tell Him to tell you about nations and what His plans are.
Wow.
Are you ready to do that?
Like yesterday.
So you want Daddy to start talking to you?
Now.
All right.
I want to start recognizing that it's Him.
All right. And He's going to, it's His great desire.
Desire and
My
love.
sheep hear my voice.
And follow me.
You know, before you came to this room, to this coaching session, were you formal with Him?
Yes.
But from now on,
I will be very, very duper, super
Beautiful.
informal.
Beautiful. He's our friend. He's our daddy. He's our friend. He's everything. So are you going to start relating with Him that way from now?
Yes.
And you know, you are somebody's mom.
Yes.
But at the same time, you are somebody's daughter. You are His daughter. He did it all for you. So the takeaway is to start seeing Him that way.
Okay.
And then you find out that it's very, very easy to recognize His voice. Now, you know, I'm going to send you your notes, and I want you to look at Isaiah 30:21. It says that when you are about to turn to the right or to the left, you will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Daddy doesn't want you to turn to the left. He doesn't want you to turn to the right. All He wants you to do is to stay in the middle of the road and just go straight.
Yes.
Now, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. What does that portion of scripture mean to you?
He's the one leading me.
He is the one
guide.
He is my guide. So in that verse, what is the key word?
Shepherd.
Shepherd. Now, if He is your shepherd, what does that make you?
I'm a sheep.
It's sheep.
That's right.
And what do sheep do?
Follow their shepherd. They just follow. Go this way, go. Go this way. No questions. Even when it does not make sense, they just go.
All right. So, you know, we've had many things here today. Number one, see Him as your daddy. Number two, see yourself as His daughter. Number three, see Him as your shepherd. Then number four, see yourself as the sheep. Now, do you know that there are wolves around?
A lot of them.
A lot of wolves. But why aren't the sheep scared of the wolves?
Because they know their shepherd, and they know that their shepherd will care for them.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, see Him as your shepherd, and then you find out. So the takeaway, Your assignment, you are going to get back to me. Start by asking him to tell you things about yourself.
Myself.
Then number 2, ask him to tell you things other people are going through so that you can help them. Then ask him to reveal his plans to the church for you. Then the 4th level, ask him to reveal things about nations to you.
Okay.
And he's going to do that because he's been waiting for this day. He's been looking forward to this day. Right. Now,
Thank you very much.
Do you have any question for me?
Question. Let me think. None I can think of now, but if I do, I'll ask you. But I'm just happy. Not like a question, a comment.
All right.
With this, I've realized that I've been hearing but not recognizing.
Now you recognize. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
How was your session?
Wow, it was quite very intensive. I knew it was going to be intensive, but I also didn't expect it to go that way.
So what were the high points for you? What were the highlights? What were the aha moments for you?
All right, there were she came into the room because she wanted to start hearing God, so she wanted spirituality coaching. But by the time we went into the sessions, one thing came out, and I think that was when she burst into tears. She found out that she had actually been hearing God, but she just couldn't recognize his voice.
Wow. So she came to solve a problem.
Yes.
That was not a problem.
She came to solve a problem that was not a problem.
And she now found out that she had been hearing, but the problem was that she had not been recognizing.
Yes, she had not been recognizing God's voice because she had put herself into a religious box. So she was relating with him as creator. She knew he was daddy, but it was mental assent. She never related with him as daddy. So as the sessions went on, one of the core tools of coaching is questions.
Yes.
So as the sessions went on, I asked her a question. Does your son refer to you by your title? She said, no, that's absurd. If he refers to me in a formal way, then that means that there's a problem. I said, so what does he call you? She said, he calls me mommy. So I said, what do you call God? She said, oh, I get it now.
Wow.
I get it now. He's my daddy.
Wow.
So that's where.
Wow. 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 That tells you how powerful coaching is. So how did you get into coaching? How did you become a coach?
It's something that you are part of. So to summarize, I lost millions in the capital market, tens of millions in the capital market in 2008. So as at then, I was an investment banker and I was doing quite well. So I made the wrong investment, lost all the money. Although I didn't know that was what was happening to me then, I swung into depression. Then from depression, I became suicidal. I didn't understand it then. And once you are depressed, your cognitive abilities will shut down gradually and you will not be able to make the right decisions. So without any plan, I resigned my job, no savings, nothing. And then after resigning, that was when the suffering started. So from a 7-figure monthly income in 2010, I got to a level where 1,000 naira became a major testimony for me. Quit notices sent packing out of the house. So one day when the shame became too much, because I called a friend in his presence, he was looking for his phone. And when my name, instead of my name to appear on his phone, what appeared was do not pick. So that got to me. With a quick notice, my children sent back from school. And I said, I've had enough. I think I need a way out. And my way out was to get poison. That night, I was a believer, I was going to end it all. So when the night came, I got up from the bed, looked at Lolade, gave her a gentle kiss as a way of goodbye. Went into the room, saw Tolu Alashe and Dimimu sleeping, my son and daughter. When I saw those children, something caught within me. Now, am I going to add my own problems to these innocent children? They know nothing. So I went back to sleep. Next morning, my phone rang at 6:30 a.m. It was you. And you said to me, I don't know what you are planning to do, but I want you to know that God still has a need for your life. Nobody knew what I wanted to do, but you called me that morning and you said to me the next thing, why don't you come for a coaching certification? And I said, I don't even have money. If I have money now, it's to buy food, not for coaching. And you said, I'll give you a scholarship, both you and Lolade. And that's how I found myself in coaching. And by the time I did the certification, it aligned with God, what God had been calling me into all the while.
Wow. Wow. So what are you going to say to someone out there that is at the verge of depression? Someone out there that is in a state of despondency? Someone out there who is about to commit suicide? What are you going to say to them?
What I'll say is this, because I've been there, all those things are events. They're only for a moment. But if you talk to a coach, you can turn around that moment. I'm not talking based on my certification. I'm talking because I've been there. So I know where the chair pinches. So if you go after a coach, you can rewrite that script. And one thing I always tell people is never, ever to move into a state of learned helplessness. You know, learned helplessness is a situation where even when salvation comes, you reject it based on feedback from past failures. And that makes it a hopeless situation. There's no hopeless situation. Any situation can turn around. You know, I always tell people that, when a product fails, the manufacturer recalls it because that product has a default, has a defect. So see, we were created by somebody. If we were failures, we would have been recalled. So for the fact that we've not been recalled means that there's something good about us. We are good products. So we must not use one situation or even a series of events to write off ourselves. There's something good about us. So if you find yourself in that position, look for a coach. You can be coached out of it, and then you become what you were created to be.
And that's why we set up this first ever African reality show, the Transformation Show, where you can watch and you can be transformed. Now, on this show, look out for all our coaches. Make sure that you reach out and you get our coaches to work with you. Thank you for watching the Transformation Show. See you in the next episode.
He kept asking questions. He let me into my world. He asked me leading questions, that really made me realize that I had been hearing, but not recognizing. And what did he even do? He made me also realize that God is my daddy. I wasn't seeing him as, even though I knew he was, I was not really practical. Being his daughter, and most importantly, him being my daddy. So with that, he gave me an exercise. He told me to listen. Let my daddy tell me something about him. And I did. I mentioned light. Boom. He told me that he had been talking to him for the past few days about light. I have been hearing. I have not been recognizing. So I'm so excited, and I feel like I'm starting a new life again.
If you need a coach or therapist, or would like to train to become a certified coach or therapist, please call +234 8098 883 555 or +234 8077 077 000. Alternatively, send an email to hello@thecatalyst.ng.com.